Welcome to Life on Purpose, where we talk all things health, wellness, and living your life on your terms. I'm your host, Brandy Eilert. I'm a holistic health and wellness coach and creator of Brandy Eilert Wellness, where I help women with adrenal fatigue and chronic stress live a more holistic, purpose-filled life. You can find my content and services at wellness360coach.com/Brandy-Eilert. You can also find me at Brandy Eilert Holistic Wellness Coach on Facebook or Brandy Eilert Wellness Coach on Instagram. Now get ready to learn how to really live life on purpose. Welcome to today's episode of Life on Purpose. This is the first episode that I've recorded since COVID-19 started to grip our country. The day that I recorded this interview, we had just found out that we would not be playing in the Big 12 tournament and then later the NCAA tournament. And that's a huge thing for us in this basketball family. And now, all these weeks later, I mean, it was an eternity ago. It feels like an eternity ago. It feels so small and so insignificant compared to what is happening in this country and around the world. This situation has been ever-changing, ever-evolving, minute by minute, and we've been forced to alter our habits and our behaviors as a whole. For many, this has created hardships beyond measure, and I in no way want to downplay that. However, I have also seen opportunity in this pause. I feel like this time has given us an opportunity to take stock of habits we may have created that weren't necessarily serving us or our families before all of this. These could be habits that don't serve our health, our well-being, our finances, our mental health, our mindset, or our time. We have now had the opportunity to check in with ourselves and the possibility to hit the reset button on some things that weren't necessarily working for us before, when the momentum of life was carrying us mindlessly through our days and our weeks and our months and our years. Like a speeding train, we just couldn't stop or even slow down. So my question during this time has been this: are we really in a rush to return to how it was before? Or can we take this time to tweak some things and change for the better? Can we make our time work for us, not us for our time? Can we slim down our hectic, chaotic schedules? Can we save more money and resources instead of mindlessly buying and spending? Can we place value where value is deserved? Today's guest is very much one to give advice on creating these new habits and goals and money mindset in a time where we have temporary precious time to focus on these things. Sarah von Bargen is a writer, educator, and coach who teaches people how to spend their time, money, and energy on purpose. She's also the creator of a very smart and funny blog called Yes and Yes. What drew me to Sarah is her no-nonsense approach to life and living the life you want. My favorite motto of hers is so simple it verges on ridiculous, yet so difficult it seems for people to do. Stop doing things that aren't working. Simple, right? But why is it that we continue to do the things that don't work for us? Why do we insist on moving forward with what we know is not serving us, yet complain that we don't have the lives that we desire? Sarah has some really great insights into all of that. So let's go ahead and we'll jump right into this interview with the amazing, funny, brilliant Sarah von Bargen. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for joining the podcast today. I've been really looking forward to talking to you. Your blog has been something I've followed for a while now because of your kind of like no BS approach to life. I mean, it's so simple that it's stupid. Like, why can't we all live like this?
Yeah. Yes.
But I love it. So just for my guests that maybe aren't familiar with you, why don't you just go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. My elevator pitch, I say that I am a writer, speaker, and educator who teaches people how to spend their money, time, and energy on purpose. I do that mostly through online courses and one-on-one coaching, but I've been blogging for 11 years, so I have gosh, I think like 1,600 blog posts in my archives. And I'm very active on Instagram and on Instagram stories. So you can certainly interact with all the stuff that I talk about and that I teach about, before you spend a bunch of money on a one-on-one coaching session with me. I've written tons of stuff that's really helpful to people. Yeah, so I'm really passionate about helping people live their life on purpose. I really want my work to sort of toe the line between like head and heart and strategic and psychological, because like there's a lot to be said for mantras and cognitive behavioral therapy and neural pathways and understanding your triggers and all that kind of stuff. And there's also something to be said for like installing a plugin on your computer that blocks you from Amazon.
I think we could all probably use one of those.
Yeah. So I try to include both of those things in everything I teach, like both the sort of like, let's get to the heart of the problem. And also like, if you know that you're lactose intolerant, stop bringing cheese into your house.
Correct. And it sounds so simple. And that's what I said, I said this before, that's what I love so much about you. It sounds so easy, but what do you think people's general hangups are? And how did you get to be kind of like where you are and your thought process and what you teach? Like, how did you get there?
Well, I think most of us, we really, really, really like to hide in overcomplicating things, because it is much, much easier to believe that the solution to the problem is incredibly complicated. It's very comforting to believe that the solution to this problem is, I need to take a $3,000 course. I need to hire a bunch of people. It is much easier. It sounds weird, but it's easier to do that than it is to individually email everyone in your professional network and say like, hey, I do this thing now. Do you know anyone who would want to hire me? Mm-hmm. It's much easier to hide in complicated solutions than it is to be vulnerable, to make yourself uncomfortable, to try new things. And so we want to believe that the solution to most things in our life is incredibly complicated. We want to believe that getting out of debt is super complicated and it involves like credit card churning and like these like software that's really hard to learn, when honestly a lot of it comes down to like, stop buying shit you don't need. Like
self-control.
Yes. And I mean, and we, there are reasons why we buy things we don't need. And those are deep emotional, psychological. Yes, sometimes the solution to like building your business is hiring a graphic designer who makes you this beautiful opt-in and learning how to write a funnel and then writing like a 10-part funnel with trigger links. But also sometimes it's just talking repeatedly and publicly about the work that you do and then saying, hey, if you know anybody who needs that, point them my way. Sure. But it's scary and it's vulnerable and it's much easier to believe that the solution to our problem is incredibly complicated.
It's not comfortable to be vulnerable. It's not comfortable to, so it's almost like you are kind of putting off by getting stuck in your head.
Yes. Yeah.
And if I make this complicated and it's too hard, then I don't have to do it.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that the narrative that the solution is complicated is something that's reinforced by society. Like, there are a lot of people who, if you say like, I want to launch a business and my plan is that I'm going to spend $700 having a graphic designer design an opt-in, and then I'm going to take a $3,000 course about how to write a funnel. There are many people who'd be like, yep, that's the right step. Mm-hmm. Because it seems professional. And it seems impressive. But if you say, I'm going to individually email everyone in my professional network and tell them that I'm a web designer now and I'm taking clients, it seems like, how could that possibly work? But y'all, I'm here to tell you that like literally the reason I am on this podcast is because I posted on Instagram stories, I love being on podcasts. If you have a podcast you would like me to be on, get in my DMs. I do that probably once a month. And every time I do it, I get between 2 and 4 invitations to podcasts. It can literally be that simple.
And it was so funny too, because I literally thought this cannot be that easy. Because I had sat there and thought about, because I am a new podcast and I am a new coach and this is a new business, I was like, she is never going to come on my podcast. I'm not established. And it was so easy.
And I was like, great, Brandy, when do you want to do this?
Let's do it.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I love that approach to life in general, is that things do not have to be so complicated. I love it. So one of the things that you coach about and you also have workshops on is money. So how to be happy with less and or spending less. And can you talk a little bit about that and like what are people's hangups? So if somebody comes to you saying, you know, they need coaching on money, like what are the major hangups that people come to you for?
Well, first I like to try to figure out, so what is the actual challenge that you're having with money? Because there are lots of different challenges that people have. There are overspenders, there are underspenders. There are couples where one partner does the majority of the earning and one partner does the majority of the spending. There are people who are uncomfortable negotiating or advocating for themselves. There are all sorts of issues. I mean, I would say that truly like 90% of us have issues with money in some form. So first we try to figure out what is the actual issue, because most of the time the issues that we have with money are deeper issues that we have with ourselves. I would say maybe like 25% of the people that I work with are underbuyers, but the vast majority of people that I work with are overbuyers. So they buy things they don't need, which is incredibly common. So if you're listening to this and you know that's you, don't feel bad. It's incredibly common. The average American spends $18,000 a year on unnecessary purchases, and the average American household has $6,000 worth of credit card debt. And neither of those things are like the world's greatest statistic. But again, I share that because I want you to know that if you recognize yourself in that, it's incredibly common.
That you're not alone. Right.
Yeah, you are not alone. So we try to, we do sort of a combination of the head and the heart. Like, what are your spending triggers? Why are you buying this really? What feeling are you chasing when you're buying this? So we do a lot of the deeper work. And then we also do a lot of work with just incredibly logistical nitty-gritty things like putting that plugin on your computer, deleting the Amazon app off your phone, using online, or if you're going to go to Target, use online order so you just walk in and pick up your bag of stuff, because if you don't see the sales racks, you can't buy from the sales racks. So just a combination of the little nitty-gritty sort of life hack things and also the deeper stuff. Because I think where a lot of personal finance, it doesn't consider who you are as a person. It doesn't consider what makes you happy. It doesn't consider your spending triggers. Like a spreadsheet is not going to tell you that the reason you bought the new MacBook is because you grew up underprivileged, and now every time you go to your co-working space and you have a Chromebook and everybody else has a MacBook, you feel less than, even though you absolutely could do everything you need to do on a Chromebook. Like, YNAB that budgeting software is not going to help you figure that out. So I try to do a combination of the deeper work, but also like sort of the more superficial nitty-gritty day-to-day stuff.
So there's a lot of emotional triggers tied to money for people.
Oh God, yes, absolutely.
So what kinds of like logistical things other than like Amazon, like how do you walk them through? And is it something like, why do you think it's so difficult that you can say, okay, go ahead and delete this app from your phone or what have you? Do you find that in itself is also difficult? Are they like tied to this habit?
Well, I mean, it certainly depends on the person. But most people shop as a numbing, it's a coping mechanism. It's a numbing behavior. So for a lot of us, it's about transferring, like what, if you are using shopping as a coping mechanism, what is a healthier coping mechanism that we can substitute?
So like replacing
yes, yeah,
for something that's going to be healthier.
Yes.
For you. Okay.
Yes. And I don't generally endorse cold turkey as as kind of a way to solve anything. And I also try to really encourage my clients and students to use like you don't have to go to from 0 to 100. You don't have to go from, going to Nordstrom 5 days a week to never going shopping. But can you, maybe instead of going to the really expensive shop, what if you went to like a nice resale boutique where everything costs 1/3 of what it did in where you're normally shopping? Or what if, instead of shopping because you don't want to feel your feelings, what if instead you watched TV instead of feeling your feelings? So like, because it's really hard you can't go from a behavior to nothing. That's quite hard. You have to have a pretty specific brain chemistry in order to do that. So I try to show people like, how can you, I call it a choice ladder. What is the next choice? What is the next rung on the choice ladder? It doesn't have, you don't have to be perfect, but even if you're just like slightly healthier, slightly better, if you're making a choice that's just slightly more in service of what you say you want, you're going to see huge change. If you go from spending $700 a month to $400 a month, that's a huge difference.
Right. And when you start to see that, like that change has taken place, and then you all of a sudden your bank account is a lot larger, and then, people actually seeing benefits, I think is a huge marker for how successful they're going to be.
Absolutely.
I wanted to talk about, I saw a blog post that you wrote about the I deserve it loophole. Can you speak to that a little bit since we're talking about money?
Yes. So the I deserve it loophole is, and it's people, we use this I deserve it loophole, not just on shopping, but pretty much everything. And what's really spectacular, and I mean, I am just, I struggle with the I deserve it loophole just like anybody else, is that we use the I deserve it loophole when things are bad, when things are good, when we like got the big contract and landed the big client, or when we didn't get the contract and we didn't land the client. We can use it for just about anything. And what's really amazing is that often the behavior that we're engaging in as a treat is actually the behavior that is moving us further from what we say we want. So an example would be, I didn't land the client. So I have a bunch of credit card debt. I didn't land the client. I'm going to self-soothe by going shopping. So now I am making things worse for my future self by engaging in an unhealthy behavior that sets me up for struggles in the future.
Perfect.
It's incredibly common. So I think honestly, just recognizing that the behavior is the choice that I'm making, moving me further from what I say that I want. Because again, you can self-soothe in ways that are not moving you further from what you say you want. Like you didn't get the client and you have credit card debt. Okay, self-soothe with 3 hours of Netflix. Self-soothe by calling your best friend. Self-soothe by scrolling Instagram. Like they might not be the world's healthiest things to do, but they're not moving you. They're not adding to your debt.
Like moving you away. Sure.
Yes.
Sure. So what would be some of your tips then for somebody who wants to make things simpler, to do things like travel, or to do things like add nice dinners, or like those things that feel like luxuries that we say we're going to do in the future when we have XYZ, or when we're going to be in, a certain place in our life, or what have you. So what steps would you recommend people take to kind of simplify to make those things a regular thing and not just a luxury?
Well, so I would say one of the first things you can do is a method that I call the highlighter method. Print out your bank account statement and print out your credit card statement, and then go through both statements with 3 highlighters, a green one, a pink one, a yellow one. And I want you to highlight the purchases that brought you joy or added to your life. That's green. The unavoidable purchases like rent or mortgage or insurance, those are yellow. And the regrettable, unnecessary purchases are pink. And then you add up all 3 colors. And very frequently people have a pretty emotional reaction to the numbers that they see. And again, I will tell you, whatever result you get, you are not the first person to get that result. I had a client work through this exercise and discover that she and her husband spent $15,000 a year on eating out.
Oh my
Yeah. So honestly, just seeing that broken down and being able to identify like, oh, every month I'm spending $800 on shit I don't even really like. Just seeing that is huge. Like, let's say that you're spending $800 a month on shit you don't need and you don't even really like. That is $800. That's like 8 nice meals. That's like a really good weekend away at a top end hotel with like really nice meals plus massages.
Right.
So just seeing that will be more likely to shock you into making changes, and also realize that there is probably a lot more wiggle room in your budget than you are giving yourself credit for. Of course, there are absolutely people who are going to do that exercise and realize like, oh, wow, I am, an intentional spender. But the vast majority of Americans are spending hundreds of dollars a month on shit they don't actually need and that doesn't add to their life. The parallel that I always draw is, imagine you went to the doctor and they said, Brandy, you are allergic to green peppers. You cannot eat them anymore. And like, you didn't even like green peppers to begin with. You didn't want them on your pizza. You don't want them in your salads. You would not miss them from your life if somebody told you couldn't eat them anymore. So when we remove that stuff from our budgets, that isn't even adding anything to our lives that we don't need, and we're not even like getting any joy out of, it doesn't feel deprivational.
Do you find also that it can also feel like they're taking control over their life a little bit?
Oh, absolutely.
They are intentionally making these choices of cutting out the crap that they don't need, and seeing kind of the benefits of what they can add to their life after they remove that stuff?
Oh, absolutely. And also, I mean, I think we've all been in the position where we're spring cleaning or we're moving and we're looking at the things, we're looking at the bags and bags and bags of things that we're bringing to Goodwill, and it's embarrassing, it's demoralizing, it's depressing, because, I mean, this sounds unduly harsh, but if you look around your house, look at all this stuff that used to be money and look at all that money that used to be time. Like, if you feel like you don't have enough time to spend with your spouse or your kids, look around your house and that stuff you're not using, it cost money and you had to work to earn that money. And the time that you spend at work is time that you are not spending with your spouse or your kids or your pet or your friends. I know that sounds unduly harsh, but it's the truth.
It doesn't. I like that parallel a lot, because I think a lot of times we do need to be shocked into change, and that does, I mean, God, it doesn't sound harsh to me. It might sound harsh to other people, but yeah, I mean, if you put it that way, of course, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? This is crazy.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that's why I love coaching so much too, because somebody who is not related to you or doesn't know you from Adam can really kind of give you that truth and make you things that you're not going to see about yourself. So yeah, I find that really, really fascinating. So you coach on habit changes, and what really drew me to you and your work is kind of your overall mantra of not doing things that aren't working for you. And again, that sounds so simple, just like everything else I read of yours. It sounds so simple, but why do you think people have such a hard time making these habit changes? They do all these things that they don't want to do, that they don't like, that they don't enjoy, then they complain about how they don't like their lives and they wish they could be doing X, Y, and Z. And why do you think it's so difficult?
Oh gosh. Well, I think a lot of reasons. I think one is that a lot of times the stuff that we're doing that doesn't really serve us, at some point in our life, it did serve us. Like at some point, like let's use an example of over drinking. So like maybe now you are married, you have kids, you have a demanding job. And at this point in your life, you know, having like 4 drinks 3 times a week, that's problematic. When you were in college and you didn't know anybody and that's how everybody socialized and you were kind of socially anxious, that's what you did. It made you popular. It made you feel comfortable. It helped you meet a great group of friends who you're still friends with. Your identity was tied up as like a party person. And you never really stopped to consider if those behaviors were still in line with the life that you want now. So a lot of times the stuff that we're doing now, at some point it made sense. And I always want to remind people of that, because we can get so down on ourselves, like, oh God, why am I doing this? But the reason you're doing it is because at some point it made sense. So A, at some point it made sense. B, a lot of these things are sort of, you might be the only person in your life who realizes this is a bad habit and doesn't want to engage in it anymore. And there might be people in your life who enjoy the fact that you have this bad habit. Like they like fun drunk Brandy. She's fun. She's the life of the party. You know, and like they don't like their job and they always want to go out for happy hour and they know if they bring you with, you'll make it fun. Or, you know, maybe your spending problem is because you're always buying dinner and drinks for your friends and you're always giving people really nice gifts. It's rare that somebody's gonna be like, hey, I don't think you should pay for dinner anymore.
So because enablers.
Yeah, so there's enablers. And also like change is hard. Habit change is hard. Change is hard. It requires a lot of introspection. It requires a big time commitment. And also like real habit change takes an average of 66 days, not the 21 days to a new you that you see everywhere. That's not backed by science. So, I mean, honestly, it's hard. And it's really,
nobody wants to shine a light on the things that they haven't been looking at.
Yes. Yeah.
Wants to shine a light on the things that, oh man, that's probably not a great habit and it's going to take a lot of work to kind of get out of this. It's really hard to look at yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And I find that even with my clients, they don't like to look at those dark places that sit in the shadows for a long time.
Yes. Yeah. And also like if nobody else in your life is changing that way, it is really hard. The average, like I said before, the average American carries $6,000 worth of credit card debt. If you don't know anyone in your life who is debt free, sometimes you don't even like realize it's an option. If you don't know anyone in your life who exercises regularly, if you don't know anyone in your life who owns their own business, if you don't know anyone in your life who doesn't wear busy as a badge of honor and actually gets 8 hours of sleep, sometimes it's even hard to realize that that's possible. Because if you can't see it, you can't be it. So it's, where would you even get the idea that you could do those things if no one in your life is doing them?
Or if you do want to do those things and you make those changes and you know that maybe it won't be accepted.
Yeah.
I know, like just for me personally, making some big changes in my life, it wasn't something that anybody necessarily around me always understood because nobody else was doing it.
Yep.
And I find also kind of just like social pressures a little bit. You don't want to make these changes because, well, everybody else is doing this, so I have to do it too. And I run into that a lot as well.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
You don't want to be different. You don't want to be kind of the one on the outside of everything. It makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. I call that paying the authenticity tax. Like I have made plenty of choices in my life that people looked askance at, but I knew that like this is the price that I pay for living a life that's right for me. And also as a side note, people are going to judge us no matter what we do, so we might as well do what we want.
Correct. And just like I actually made a post today about this, but they're going to get used to the new you just like they got used to the old you.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
It's going to be that like discomfort in the middle. And if they don't like the new you, then they don't need to be there anyway.
Yeah. Yes.
Do you find that kind of doing things that you and I do where you're in the coaching world and you kind of, a lot of your business is created through social media content and things like that. Do you feel like people can get wrapped up in the envy of social media? Do you feel like that can also be kind of a pressure of not making changes?
It can be. Well, so something that I think a lot about is that I tell my students and my clients to use envy as a tool because it will show you what you want. Like there are people in my life. I have a friend who is a she's a very well-known trainer, like a fitness trainer. She owns a really successful gym. She lives in Tulum. She has a visible six-pack. I am not envious of that at all. I have another friend who lives in a beautiful doorman building in New York. I am not envious. But I have a friend who has a successful online business. She is self-employed. She's she works with clients. She's a ghostwriter. She's literally on zero social media. Not even, she doesn't even have like a personal account that people don't know about. And I am incredibly envious of that.
That I would be envious of.
Yes. And so that teaches me something. I know.
Rating.
Yes. And so that teaches me something about myself. Yeah. So I think that social media can be a tool to help you shine some light on the things that you want that you're not acknowledging to yourself. Mm-hmm. And especially if your social media of choice is Instagram, it is quite easy to teach the algorithm to only show you what you want. Right. Mute people, if you can't unfollow them for sort of like, because it's your sister-in-law, just mute them. Mm-hmm. And also go through and think about what are the habits that I want to reinforce? What do I want for myself? And then follow accounts that are going to remind you of that and reinforce that. So if you are, if you want a career as a speaker, can you follow a bunch of people who are speakers? Because every time you see them speaking, it will remind you of what you want. And also they'll probably share a bunch of really good tips. If you are trying to develop a meditation practice, there are all kinds of accounts that you can follow that will help you with that. So I think I try to use Instagram as a tool to help me go after my goals and reinforce my habits, and also shine a light on the things that I want for myself that maybe I'm not acknowledging.
Yeah, that's a really, really, really good point. I like that, because again, kind of going back to you don't really want to know those things. You really don't want to figure out those things about yourself, like why you're envious of this person, or mm-hmm. What is it about yourself that is kind of making you feel these things when you're on social media. So you do a lot of traveling. Mm-hmm. Okay, I read this on, like, you've been to 36 countries?
Yeah, I think it's 38 now, but yes, I've been to many countries, yes.
So when did you start traveling, and how do you make that work?
So I started traveling internationally when I was 18. I did a study abroad program to Germany when I was 18. And prior to being self-employed, I was an ESL teacher. So I was able to, it's very much a career that supports living abroad. So I was living in Taiwan, and I would get Chinese New Year off, and then I would, take a Air Asia flight for like $7 to Thailand. So I lived abroad for a long time. So that made it a lot easier to travel. Mm-hmm. And then when I became self-employed, I just, I can work from anywhere. And sort of like I talked about, you just have to I made very, very active choices to make my spending align with my priorities. And I figured out which purchases made me happy. And one of those purchases is travel. And then I stopped buying stuff that didn't make me happy. Like, for example, I've been a vegetarian since I was 12 years old, and I'm a very good cook. And so going out to eat is not particularly exciting for me. Like, I totally resent paying $19 for a plate of pasta that I could make at home. So it's very rare that I go out to eat. So that saves me tons and tons of money. Yeah. And if somebody loves to go out to eat, they should absolutely spend their money that way. But for me, 99% of the time when I go out to eat, I'm like, why did I just spend $27 on a grilled cheese sandwich? Yes. So I just aligned, and now, I make a very comfortable living, so I don't have to be quite so like, oh, should I buy this sandwich or not? But yeah, even when I was starting out and I was making, 30, 40 grand a year, I was still able to travel because I was very strategic with how I spent my money.
So like making very conscious choices. So what advice would you give to somebody who, say, travel is very important to them, but they keep putting it off because, they need to be in a certain place in their life, or, they don't have enough money, or mm-hmm. Is that a legitimate excuse for everybody? Or
no, I'm sure that there is. We're in the midst of a coronavirus pandemic, so there are lots of reasons not to travel right now. But hopefully in a few months, things will be back to quote unquote normal. And I'm sure that somewhere in the world, there is a person whose reasons for not traveling are legitimate. They have a family member who has stage 4 cancer. They have 5-figure credit card debt.
Mm-hmm.
They're in the midst of selling their house. These are all legitimate reasons not to travel. But if you have kids, you can travel.
Yeah.
If you have pets, you can travel. If you don't speak a second language, you can travel. Like if you quote unquote only have, 2 weeks of vacation time, you can still travel.
Yeah.
It's just a matter, I think it's just like anything, like you need to make it a priority. You make sacrifices where necessary. And it is also okay, because I feel like society, I feel like travel, especially international travel, is kind of like a marker of prestige, and kind of like it's a class marker.
Mm-hmm.
It is okay if you don't own a passport, and also it is okay if you try international travel. There's a difference between getting out of your comfort zone and also being like, you know what, this is legit not for me.
I don't even like this. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah.
you can travel comfortably within the United States and within your comfort zone if you want.
Yes.
If travel is something that is fun and interesting for you. But so for a family like mine,
mm-hmm.
I have 3 kids.
Mm-hmm.
I own 2 businesses and host this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
What can someone like me do to make travel happen, with a family of 5?
So I would say one of the first things you want to do is start setting up, and you want to set up a bank account, mm-hmm. and literally name it something like Brandy's Family Vacation to Paris,
yeah.
or something like that. Give it a name that makes you feel excited and inspired. And you want to start setting up auto transfers to that account. So depending on, I don't know what your job situation is, but if you have a salary where you get paid every 2 weeks, 5% of that paycheck automatically goes into that bank
mm-hmm.
account. Or if you get paid by clients, maybe you might have to do it yourself, but figure out a percentage and kick a percentage of every single check that comes into your account. And probably your husband as well. If you have a 17-year-old and they want to be involved, they can also kick in. I mean, so they have a little bit of ownership in it.
Yeah, like a little family affair.
Yeah. So I would say, and I actually tell my clients to, depending on your spending habits,
mm-hmm.
I tell clients to open what I call a lockbox account, which is an account at a totally separate bank.
Mm-hmm.
Do not save set it up so you can transfer money in, make it difficult to transfer money out. Don't save the login information into your computer,
mm-hmm.
And don't let them give you a debit card.
Yeah.
Because it's real hard. If you just make a folder in your Wells Fargo account, it's very easy to be like, oh, I'm just going to transfer a little bit in and out. It doesn't matter. But if you can set up something and mm-hmm. make it difficult for yourself to take money out, that will get you there faster.
Yeah, interesting.
And there are also lots of things that you can do to make strategic things you can do. You can house swap. You can do house sitting. If you look up, I think it's care.com. There are lots of, you don't have to rent 2 hotel rooms mm-hmm. in Paris and then eat out every meal. There are so many things, and there are a million resources. But if you went in the shoulder season, which is the season about a month before high season.
Mm-hmm.
So, the weather is still good, but it's not, the prices aren't high yet. So if you went during shoulder season, if you went to a country with a favorable exchange rate, and if you house sat instead of staying in a hotel, mm-hmm. and if you mostly bought groceries and cooked in your house that you were staying at, you have already reduced the expense of that trip by 75%.
That is insane.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
It's doable. So it's feasible.
It's incredibly doable.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I mean, we try to travel as much as possible we now have a 2.5-year-old, which is interesting sometimes, but we try to make it happen as much as possible. I want to talk a little bit about you a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
You make a living off of giving other people advice through
Yes.
your blogs and through your coaching. What is some of the best advice that you have been given?
Oh gosh. I don't know. I literally don't know where I got this advice. But I think something that has been really transformative for me is understanding that your success is directly correlated to how uncomfortable you're willing to be. So pretty much everything that you want in life lies on the other side of being uncomfortable. It's pitching yourself for podcasts, it's asking out the person you think is cute, it's applying for the job that you think is too fancy for you, it's, it's promoting yourself a third time, a fourth time, it's sending up the follow-up email, it's like getting over like your belief that investing is complicated and you're not good at math. It's, working up the nerve to like call the IVF doctor. It's working up the nerve to work through the adoption paperwork. Like pretty much everything you want that's worth having requires you to be uncomfortable repeatedly.
That is really good advice, because nobody loves to feel.
No, gosh, no.
And I know, I think back to like my younger days and just starting my first business, and then especially starting this second one. It takes a lot of vulnerability, and it takes learning how to be okay with no, and learning how to be okay with, again, like you said, having to ask a first, second, third, fourth time even to kind of get what you want. But once you see how exponentially your life can change by just getting uncomfortable for a little bit, because nobody likes it. I mean, nobody likes feeling that at first, but
also the other thing is like, nobody wants to be uncomfortable. So if you're the one who's willing to be uncomfortable, you're going to be the one in the room, and everybody else is going to be like on the other side of the door chewing on their fingernails.
Yeah, right. Kind of missing out. I think about all the things that I probably missed out on in my life just by saying, making excuses for, well, it's not perfect. I'm not quite where I need to be yet, or we're not in where we want to be in our life yet to do A, B, and C, or you make a lot of excuses for not doing kind of, or putting yourself out there, or feeling vulnerable or uncomfortable. Like you said, that's really, really great advice. Here's another one that I had for you. What are some of your favorite life hacks?
Oh my gosh. I would say the two biggest life hacks that I have are that I plan my entire day in my Google Calendar, which sounds like unsexy and boring, and I resisted it for a really long time. But you probably know this, and maybe your listeners know this, but the part of your brain that makes long-term decisions is making those long-term decisions with your best interest at heart. And the part of your brain that makes in the moment decisions is a toddler brain. And that part of your brain, it wants to eat the entire bag of pizza rolls. It wants to not do your physical therapy exercises, and it wants to watch like 3 episodes of Love is Blind. It is not that part of your brain is not looking out for you. Right. And so I found that when I left my schedule kind of up to my decisions in the moment, I was doing a lot of, I still worked a lot, but it was a lot of productive procrastination. And it was a lot of like hiding from the uncomfortable work. It would be like, I'm going to design some new pins and schedule some stuff into Tailwind instead of like writing a sales page, which is very uncomfortable.
Yeah, sure.
So every Sunday night, I schedule my entire week in Google Calendar. And this is again so nerdy, I color code the stuff that I'm doing. So I can see if it's something that only involves me, it's purple. If it's something that involves other people, so I have to like be on time, and maybe I need to be like wearing real clothes and I need to drive somewhere, it's yellow. And I also literally schedule fun things into my week because I'm a workaholic. And if I don't schedule in fun stuff, I will not do it. And so I literally schedule between 3 and 4 fun things into my week, and I color code them green so that I can see at a glance if I have enough in my life that's filling me up, because otherwise it's very easy for me to work from 8 until like 6, just because, when you have your own business, it just expands to fill the space you give it.
Yeah.
So I make for sure to literally schedule fun things into my calendar.
I really love that idea, because for people like you and me who work from home or from a coffee shop or what have you,
Mhm.
it's really easy to, I guess everybody thinks, oh, you can do whatever you want. You work from home. But
Yeah.
you really don't. Like, you do fill up that time as much
Yeah.
as you possibly can. And you can forget to do things to take care of yourself,
Yeah,
do things to make you
absolutely.
happy, do things to
Mhm.
make you healthy,
Mhm.
what have you.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that you schedule that in there, and I'm probably
Yeah.
going to have to start doing
Yeah,
that
it
myself.
works really well.
Yeah.
And I also really encourage people, depending on your personality type, when you do that fun stuff, especially if you work from home, it's a good idea to involve a friend, because that also creates accountability.
Yeah.
Because if the fun thing is going to a matinee and you're going by yourself, it is very easy to tell yourself the story that you're quote unquote too busy to go. But if you've invited a friend, you're not going to cancel
Expect you
on
to be
them.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, you will go. So if you use this method and you find yourself coming up with excuses for not actually doing the fun stuff, invite other people, because then you will actually do it.
Hold you accountable. So what are some of the fun things that you schedule into your calendar?
I'm very into pedicures, massages. I don't care about manicures. I love pedicures, massages, matinees. I love going for hikes. I really enjoy doing anything at a time of day or week when other people cannot, because they're working a 9 to 5. So I do a lot of that. I'll do like a day trip.
That is?
Oh, because it makes me feel smug about my life choices.
I knew it. I knew you were going to say that.
Yes, because it makes me feel really proud of myself for having created a life where I can go to a 2 p.m. matinee.
That's amazing. And if that's not like inspiration for people, I don't know what is. Like just having kind of control over what you do and when you do it, how you do it, how often you do it. I love it. I love that. Now, you write a lot. Like you said, you have what'd you say?
I have right now, I deleted a bunch of, I've been blogging for 11 years and I cleaned out my blog. And so now I only have 1,600 blog posts on my blog. I used to have like 2,300.
So how do you stay inspired, and what does it look like? Like, what does it look like for you in your writing process?
Well, one thing I should start with is, so my undergraduate degree is in English, and I used to work in journalism. I used to write for a newspaper. So I am very fortunate that I came to blogging. I'm incredibly not precious about my writing. Like, I view writing as a professional skill set, just like anybody. Some people can code websites, some people can hang drywall, some people can cut hair. I can write words. It's not a big deal. I'm not precious about it. So I don't struggle with writer's block. I don't, if I have an editor and they want me to change something, I'm not personally offended. I don't get particularly up in my head about it. I just view it as, this is the thing that I am doing from 9 to 11 every day. Just like, from 4 to 5 every day I answer emails. From 9 to 11 I write. It's not a big deal. It doesn't, my ego's not caught up in it. It's just a thing that I'm doing. And I think that is a mindset that works really well for me. And I would encourage anybody who writes regularly or does anything creative that you have to do a lot of. I have found it to be very helpful to create that distance from it, because you are not your blog post, just like you are not your jean size, you are not your bank account balance. And I think we all kind of know that. We know that, like, I am not who I'm married to. I am not my bank account balance. But I think when we create things, when we write, when we take photos, when we design things, it is much more sort of quote unquote normal or quote unquote acceptable to tie up our identity and our self-worth in those things.
That's a really interesting point. In my, like, to tell a personal story here, my husband has like a very visible job, and I found myself for the longest time, I was nothing. I mean, I had
2 businesses. I was starting this podcast, but I was not any of those things. I was Josh's wife, because it's this bill. That's all I felt like I ever was for the longest time. And so I can see how making that, like, when it's your job and this is all that you kind of see that you are, I can see, I can totally commiserate with that, because you have to separate it. And I never took his job that seriously, but everybody else did. And so, that's all you are. That's all they you as. And so you find that that's how people see you when they first, that you're the blogger. That's, what else are you?
Well, and I think so, because they mostly know me. Like, they know me, they read my newsletters or they read my Instagram, but I am clearly, as we're having this conversation, an incredibly normal person. And I think most people who follow me would also know that I'm an incredibly normal person.
Right.
But I think in general, something that I talk to my students and my clients a lot about is diversifying your identity. Because when we put all of our eggs in the basket of entrepreneur or wife or mother or writer or athlete, I mean, life changes. I mean, we all want to believe we're not going to get divorced, and yet half the population does it. We all want to believe that our business is not going to fail, but like 75% of them do. At some point, maybe I'll stop writing. And it's already hard enough when something like that happens. But if your only identity is as partner, parent, artist, and something changes, it's debilitating. So I think it's really important to sort of, just like you would have a diversified stock portfolio, to have like a diverse sort of identity, that you're not just a writer or a coach, you're also lots of other things.
Right. So if you ever decided, I'm not going to write anymore, you have this whole other part of yourself that it's not going to feel like such a loss. You're not losing yourself. Yeah. I like that. And I think it really is easy to get caught up in these like identifying parts of yourself, like you said, wife, or especially for like moms too.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you can get really sucked into just being mom.
Yeah. And your kids are going to leave the house at some point.
Right. And you need to know who you are after that. Like, what am I? Who am I? What can I do? Kind of thing. And it's again, one of those things that you don't want to shine a light on, because it's going to be really hard to figure that out if you haven't already been asking yourself those questions from the beginning.
And people extremely don't want to hear it. Like, because if they have invested 10 years in being a capital W writer, or, if they gave up their career to be a parent, and then you tell them, I think you need to divest your identity from being a parent, they extremely don't want to hear that.
Yeah, no, that's one of those tough ones. Okay. So some of my last questions here, and this one's kind of, funny since we talked about money earlier. What have you purchased recently that you now regret? Because I know, so like we're all coaches and we all coach on all these things that we're supposed to be doing. But like for me, I'll coach my clients on like sugar intake, and I'm not always great with sugar.
Oh yeah. Well, I can tell you, this is so one of the thing that like is my like spending, I don't know what, is that I'm extremely decisive, and I do everything really fast, sometimes to my own detriment, which includes like not reading product descriptions correctly. or just not like as closely as I should. And this is like a very small thing, and I ended up returning it and it was fine. But I wanted some motion sensor lights to put into my walk-in closet. So when I like walk in, they turn on. I don't have to flip something on. So I ordered some off of Amazon, but they were like the blue kind of LED light, and I wanted like the warm light. So then I returned them. And then when I went in my like Amazon orders thing, it very clearly says like these are LED lights.
Right.
Yeah.
That's pretty minor.
Yes, yeah. And that's because I've done this work for literally like 15 years.
Yeah. So what were you like as a kid and like growing up? Like how are you so like just chill and level-headed and kind of just got it all together?
I mean, I was I was literally always like this. like, I think anyone who met me as a kid and knows me as an adult will be like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I would also say, like, I was very lucky to have great parents. And I was like very, especially I think with women, like our moms are like, my mom is not a perfectionist. She is incredibly laid back. Like, so as we're recording this, the coronavirus is rampant.
Yeah.
And I am about to cancel a trip to Hawaii with my mom, who PS is 73 and has diabetes. Like, she's literally in the column of like people who shouldn't travel. And she's like, I don't see what the big deal is. It's not a big deal. Like, she's like extremely whatever, and she's not a perfectionist. She has really good boundaries, and she's not easily flustered. She was a primary school teacher for her entire career, which why. So I mean, honestly, like, I think a big part of it is like, this is the software that came installed on my brain. And also I was fortunate to be raised in a family that modeled good stuff for the most part.
Yeah. Boundaries is a big one.
Yeah.
A really big one.
Yes. I feel extremely fortunate. I don't think most women in the Midwest who were born in 1947 had boundaries, but my mom would literally say things like, I'm not going to do that, which is like not something that most women of that age group or demographic would do.
What's funny, so your blog is called Yes and Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And my mantra the last 2 years has been no and no.
Yes, good for you, because people ask you to do stuff all the time.
Because I started having to set these boundaries for myself where I'm just like, no, I can't add anything else to my plate. Yeah. I cannot do this. I cannot do that. No, that doesn't make me happy. No, we're not going to do this. And people didn't love it.
It can be hard.
I loved every second of it, but people don't love it.
No, it can be really hard.
No, it was so liberating. I've enjoyed the last 2 years.
Good for you.
Quite honestly, I mean, it's been, it's hard. You don't realize that you can say no to stuff.
Yeah.
You don't realize that you can set these boundaries for yourself, and you don't have to put a million things on your plate that aren't going to serve you and aren't going to serve your family.
Yes. And something that I think about all the time is like, they are allowed to ask me. I'm allowed to say no. They're allowed to get upset about it. And I'm allowed to continue to not do it.
Right.
Like, it's all like, you can ask me to, drive to your house and help you move. And I can say, I'm busy that weekend. I can't do that. And you can be disappointed in me, and I can
still
choose, and I can like keep going with my life.
Right. No, that's, I think with my clients, especially, like, that is the number one thing that we start to work on is setting boundaries.
Yeah.
Like, what is going to serve you? I mean, and that could be like you said, with money, that could be with just about anything.
Yeah.
I mean, and when you start setting those boundaries and making room in your life for all these other things that do fulfill you and do serve you and do serve your family, then it's just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
They know all the time. No.
Yes. And I always try to do like I can't do the thing that it's rare that I'm like, no. I'm usually like, I can't do that. I can do this. Or I can't do that. Here's somebody who could. Yeah. Or, like, I try to be helpful in another way, or helpful in a way that I'm comfortable. Like legit, I'm not helping you move. Like, I'm 40 years old. I'm not helping you move.
Right.
But I will totally come over and help you declutter, which I love doing and I'm very good at. That is a skill set that I have.
Yeah.
I will help you declutter for up to 3 hours. That's what I can do. I'm not helping you. I'm not hauling furniture. That's not my skill set.
And then you put it in the Google Calendar for 3 hours. And
yes. And then that's all I'm doing. Like, I'm not spending all of Saturday doing it. I'll come over. I say, like, I can't help you move. I would love to help you declutter. I'm free Friday afternoon.
I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. I could talk to you forever. I've really enjoyed our conversation. This has been so amazing. So just to kind of wrap up here, why don't you tell everybody more about where they can find your awesome life tips and resources and coaching services?
Yes. So my blog is at yesandyes.org. I am on Instagram. I'm on Instagram stories literally every day. And I post on Instagram pretty regularly. So if you want to follow along on my sort of day-to-day stuff, Instagram stories is the place to find me. And I offer one-on-one coaching services, and I also have a variety of online courses that are both self-paced, and I run them live every year as well. So if you know that you need accountability and support around habit change or money stuff, I would love to help you.
That is awesome. Sarah, thank you so much.
I
said, I really enjoyed this, and I could talk to you for another hour.
This was so fun.